This is the story of how we went from a roof to no roof in the space of a week and the absolute shit show we uncovered. We moved into this Victorian house almost 4 years ago, and renovating the loft has been on our dreaded to-do list ever since. And the time finally arrived to crack on with it, crack being the operative word, because she was broken. These were all signs that not only did the room need rebuilding, but the whole roof did too. It seems in the 80s, when concrete tiles were the thing, they put them on our roof and made it bow like nobody's business. And while they've since been replaced, the after effects are still very much in the room with us. So step one was to get rid of the roof, walls and everything inside so the whole top of our house could be built from scratch. Our prep weekend turned from just stripping off some wallpaper to revealing this absolute specimen of Victorian craftsmanship. I mean, what an incredible find. And then our team of builders came and stripped every last morsel of roof off. No tile, no strip of lath or rotten rafter was left unturned. A bit extreme, you might say? Well, just look at how well this structure was doing. Shakier than a Tory at a Just Stop Oil protest. So getting rid and starting again was clearly the right thing to do, and not just with the roof structure, but the plaster on the walls we thought would survive, well, need I say more? Then it was time for new floors. Again, these old joists and floorboards were, technical term, absolutely fucked. And I don't know about you, but I like walking in a room where I don't fear falling through the ceiling below, but next time something a bit like that happens. Go to part 2. Welcome to the hallway of horror! Nearly 4 years into our Victorian home renovation, and somehow things are still getting worse. In the process of having our whole crumbling roof removed and loft room floors replaced, some damage occurred to the hallway ceiling below, so stupidly we decided to tear it all down for fun. Do not try this at home, kids, do not recommend. Meanwhile, back upstairs we moved on to restoring this beauty of a brick Victorian fireplace. To keep it exposed, she needed a lot of work, starting with raking out all the old mortar. In order to get a clean red brick face, the mortar needed to be removed to give us a clear, cleanable surface, so that's exactly what we did. And we were racing against the clock because pretty soon the makings of our brand new roof arrived. The steel beams swinging in the wind were giving me wow! But soon they were in and a shiny new roof structure was taking shape in a little more than one short day. And with the roof building came room building. Look, Mum, we've always got walls again. This was the structure of our brand new ensuite bathroom, a cupboard and handy eave storage all coming to life. But before that happened, we could finally clean up the fireplace bricks with a bit of brick acid, so bringing these 130-year-old beauties back to life, and they're looking even better next time. Go to part 3. Have you ever seen anything so beautiful? I mean, probably, but please look at these bricks, because it took us weeks and weeks of work to get them from this crusty state to these beautiful babies. If you're new here, I'm Sharn, another home renovator who spends all their money on boring stuff you can't actually see and goes on about it on the internet. Welcome! And as part of our massive loft room renovation, we completely restored this 130-year-old fireplace, and now we're at the sealing it in stage, which means it's almost finished. But the rest of the room certainly wasn't. We were finally back inside after weeks of living with no roof. New wiring was complete, plasterboard was in, the pigeons still kept coming though. This isn't some pools, can you fuck off? But soon we had windows and plastered walls, what a treat. To the non-renovators, I cannot tell you how good plastered walls feel, quite literally and figuratively. They're so silky smooth and a sign you're into the home stretch-ish. Because I then had to miscoat every bloody surface in this gaff, every tiny crevice and nook. Thank God for my powers of hyperfixation, and I spoke too soon. Undiagnosed, but there's definitely something going on. Luckily, the top coat of paint went a little bit better. Oh, yeah. No, it didn't. I guess consistency is key, and I am consistently clumsy. But as the pink went on, my vision of a calming master bedroom suite was coming to life, and I'd even got the ensuite bathroom painted in a pink that looks like the same pink, but is definitely a different pink. And next time the real work begins, as the worst 5 hours of my life, aka trying to wallpaper around several corners and a sloping ceiling, unfolds, go to part 4. Would you want to wake up to this wallpaper? Well, that's a choice I made for our big loft room renovation, which is now a bold bedroom suite, and nobody can stop me. However, the struggle of getting it up on the wall did not have me smiling. We had to get the room ready for its papering by cutting and sticking on all the skirting and architrave first. I look so confident here, but in reality, all my intrusive thoughts are like, God, you're shit at this. What if you just chop off all your fingers? And is this what they meant when they said they wanted more masculinity in the workplace? Women using power tools and shit? Anyway, all on, so now we paper. And without boring you, this fantastic wall mural really tested our patience. It took an hour and a half just to get the first corner on, and yes, you have to go left to right with this mural. It's not like normal repeating wallpaper. We rowed a lot. This doesn't need to be Chandra a cunt hour. But we got there and I've now gaslit myself into thinking it was easy when it was absolutely not. So the main bedroom is fully decorated, well, nearly. We then had to deal with these floating support stones holding up the 130-year-old fireplace, so decided to build and tile a whole half from scratch, which involved a lot of expanding foam. Don't even ask. 2 big sacks of self-levelling compound, about 3,000 tiles and 13 hours of hard graft. Honestly, I thought this would be like a 4-hour and done job. How wrong I was. But after many hours of DIY, it was complete. Now all that's left to do is sling some carpet down and get the furniture in. Go to part 5 for the finished room. When you've been renovating for 4 years, you'd think you'd stop making stupid fucking DIY mistakes. But here we are making a massive pull in a £1,000 carpet. All the best. Sharn here, your over-busy, overwhelmed home renovator who wants to commit to slow living but instead committed to taking the roof off her house and building it all again. Now it's time to turn what was once a derelict attic into a vibrant and luxurious bedroom suite. So after all the decoration, the carpet went down in the main room, which felt like a massive milestone, until we managed to balls it up while fitting the radiator. But hey, thanks to some glue and the pulled strand in question, I managed to sort of disguise our error. Just look over there. Even more excitingly, the ensuite bathroom had been tiled, the sink, shower and loo had gone in, and after a few finishing touches, towels and pointless baskets, that's what grown-ups have in their houses, right? This sexy new hygiene heaven was complete. I'm so happy with this room, 100 out of 10. And soon after, the bedroom space could also be decked out with delights. This big cloud of a king-size bed arrived, which was super easy to build actually. Then this wavy chair, which literally came in one piece, but I still managed to make a meal of unboxing it. Fun, curvy bedside table, some sweary artwork, hanging plants, all completed the look, and so here she is. It's fun, a bit silly, but seriously gorgeous to be in after months and months and months of such hard work. Thank you so much for watching and following this whole mess, and please stay with me because our next project starts very soon.